So I find it takes about 60 seconds.
To order. I can gavel us in for the first time. And the time is 10:01 a.m. And Jamie, will you please call the roll?
Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris,
Present.
Clara Alvarez,
Present.
Jana Hazen,
Yeah, I think they're trying to
They're muted.
get their.
Elsa Jimenez,
Present.
Jackie Majors, Molly Munger.
We were calling a roll call, so I don't know if you want to do that again, Jamie.
I don't know if you did. I think I heard my name, Jackie Majors. Sorry.
Molly Munger,
She's raised her hand, so I'm trying to promote her as panelist.
you can.
I'm gonna see in the office. I'll scoot in a little
Oh,
bit.
if Molly is
How do you want to do
participating
this?
as a member of the public, the chair can actually at
That's fantastic.
discretion
I think, can you-
direct the conversation, but if she is participating virtually, she will not be able to vote unless she's in the room.
Okay,
She's up as a panelist now. Can't see her. You can see in here.
so just if she's participating as a member of the public, then she is not contributing to the quorum?
Correct,
Okay.
nor is she allowed to.
Okay, great. So then,
Welcome to number 2 CSI.
Murray,
Present.
Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Hi, Commissioner Munger, we can hear you now.
Good. All right. I had understood that this was a meeting that you could attend in one of different modes. And so I chose this one. And I didn't realize it was going to mean that I couldn't vote or participate. So there was talk about letting me be promoted to being a panelist. Is that something that's possible?
Commissioner Munger, you are presently a panelist and we can hear you, and at the chair, at the discretion of the chair, we can engage you in conversation and the chair can direct staff to answer your questions, but unfortunately, according to Bagley-Keene, you are unable to count towards our quorum, but that's not an issue because we have quorum, and unable to vote.
Okay, unable to count for a quorum, unable to vote, but I can just listen. And if anybody wants to hear what I have to say, they can let me talk. Is that right?
Chair Burke-Harris will be able to direct that. And
We'll let you talk, Molly.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry to have caused this wrinkle. I didn't understand these limitations on it. It makes it seem like I'm not really doing my duty, which bothers me, but I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody. I'm here. I will be here in the capacity I can be here.
Thank you for being here, Commissioner Munger. And with that, that we have a quorum, we'll go ahead and move into the agenda. Wow, well, today is a little bit of a momentous day for us, our first in-person meeting in quite some time, my first in-person meeting ever as a commissioner. And so in addition to our transition to in-person meetings, and it's really wonderful to see people in person. As many of you know, our previous executive director, Camille Maben, has decided to retire. And we are so grateful for her extraordinary service. And as you've heard before, in January, the commission actually has been undertaking a process of seeking her replacement. And we met to interview multiple candidates for the position. And at our February 17th meeting, the commission voted unanimously to hire Jackie Wong as our new executive director. So I want to welcome Jackie as our new executive director for First Five California. And now that the hiring process is complete and Jackie is on board, this will be Jackie's first meeting in leading this process. And I hope that all of you will join me in congratulating Jackie and wishing her well in her leadership of First Five.
Thank you so much.
So Jackie, thank you for your service. And in the spirit of transitions, I also want to note that this will be Chris Perry, Commissioner Perry's last meeting. Oh, Commissioner Perry. Oh, it's so great to see you.
It's so great to see you too.
Welcome. So as I was saying today, this is Commissioner Perry's last commission meeting before she steps down from her position at Cal HHS later this week.
Friday the 13th.
Oh my goodness. And to take on a leadership position at the Children and Screens Institute of Digital Media and Child Development. Their first executive director. Congratulations, Commissioner Perry. So we will miss you. We will miss your expertise, and we look forward to continuing to watch your work on the national stage. So please join me in thanking Commissioner Perry for her extraordinary service. And finally, in the spirit of transition, I think many of you know that this is my last meeting as chair. I, in stepping down from my role in state service, formerly as California Surgeon General, and now in stepping down from this role, and really to spend a little bit more time with my family and invest in being present for myself and my family, just taking a little break. But very, very grateful to all of you for your partnership and your service, and very excited that the governor has appointed Giannina Perez as the incoming chair. So I see that we've gotten an upgrade as far as chair. And so following this meeting, we'll take a little break, and then I'll be swearing in Ms. Perez as the incoming chair. So lots of excitement and transitions. And with that, I will hand it over to Jackie to take us forward. Yes.
So I'm going to provide a quick overview of our first hybrid, not last hybrid commission meeting. So let me quickly go over how we'll be conducting business today. So first of all, anybody who is listening from the public, if you are having technical difficulties, please send an email to info@ccfc.ca.gov, info@ccfc.ca.gov, or info@ccfc.ca.gov. We have staff stand by who will immediately assist you. So commissioners, upon each agenda item, you will be able to provide feedback and ask questions. Dr. Brooke Harris will field requests to speak from commissioners in both locations. Voting will be conducted in the same manner as previous meetings. Jamie Hastings will help moderate today's meeting and will call for each commissioner's vote. In terms of the general public, the public will be muted during the meeting. If you are attending virtually and wish to comment, use the raise hand function or the chat function if that is not available to you. If you are here today in person and wish to comment, please sign in on the public comment sheet. Jamie will call on the public in the order in which they signed up, starting with people in the room in Sacramento. Then if there are any people in the room in Los Angeles, okay, and then people in the virtual queue. We were saying if there are any people in person in LA, we will go after the people in Sacramento. So, okay. In closing, again, if anyone is having technical difficulties, including using the raise hand function, please send an email to info@ccfc.ca.gov. We have several staff monitoring that account, so you should receive assistance right away. Unless there are any technical questions, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Burke Harris.
Thank you very much, Jackie. And at this point, I want to take a moment to call for any acknowledgement of conflict of interest. Please let me know if any agenda item presents or potentially may present a conflict of interest for you, commissioners. Obtaining this information in advance will ensure that I can announce your non-participation in any aspect of that item in compliance with the applicable laws. Does any commissioner want to state a conflict of interest on any items? Hearing none, I will move on to the reports, but as we move into the meeting, in Jackie's first meeting as executive director, Jackie has introduced a new element, which I think is wonderful. And I would like to turn it over to Jackie at this point to open us up with a land acknowledgement before going into her report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burke Harris. Ideally, these statements would be read by a local tribal leader, but unfortunately, we were not able to have one present today. I, however, was provided the land acknowledged by a friend, sister, and colleague, and board member of the Sacramento Native American Health Center, who has given me permission to read this land acknowledgement in honor of the peoples of this land, and to begin to understand and educate ourselves on the contributions of those who have lived here since time immemorial. The history of the Sacramento area and the people is rich in heritage, culture, and tradition. This area was and still is the tribal land of the Nisenan people. Sacramento was a gathering place for many local tribes who have lived throughout the Central Valley and the foothills for generations, and were the original stewards of this land. We would like to acknowledge the Southern Maidu people to the north, the Valley and Plains Miwok and Miwok peoples to the south of the American River, and the Patwin Wintun peoples to the west of the Sacramento River. We would also like to honor the Wilton Manchuria, the only federally recognized tribe in Sacramento County. We acknowledge that we are standing on the tribal lands of Sacramento's indigenous people. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I also want to thank the commission for the opportunity to serve California's youngest children, their families and communities as the executive director of First 5 California. Specifically, I want to thank you for your confidence in me to move us towards the North Star and audacious goal. I want to acknowledge the legacy that Dr. Burke Harris is leaving us. With the work ahead, and we and the children of California are grateful for the contributions to ensuring that all families and communities have safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments that we know are necessary for healthy development. So thank you. I'm grateful for your wisdom, grace, and dedication to equity and justice in the work that we do. Under your leadership, our organization, I feel like I'm gonna move this over here. Our organization has shifted to become more rooted in addressing inequities with clear understanding that we cannot do this alone. And it is in partnership with families, communities, and others that we will fulfill our mission. For that, we thank you for leaving us inspired and hopeful. So I will turn it over for any questions to, oh my gosh, my first ED position. So I will also open up the commission discussion, but before doing so, in regards to the ED report, I wanted to also take a moment to highlight a few of our personnel updates. I wanted to first introduce you to Sarah Bachez, our new Deputy Director of External Government Affairs, who is replacing Max Vargas, who is now the VP at the Latino Community Foundation for Economic Justice. And I defer to Sarah for a quick intro, if that's appropriate. Chair Burke Harris.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to this be my first opportunity to introduce myself as your new Deputy Director of External Governmental Affairs. For the last decade, I have served as a K-12 education advocate and prior to that role, having served for the Assembly Budget Committee, recognizing the importance of public service on behalf of the state of California. And so today I am just very honored to be here. Thank you.
We're just so excited to have her depth of experience and expertise here at First Five California. And it is also with mixed emotion, it's David's back there, that I share that David Dodds, who was with us today for his last commission meeting, has left us for a promotional opportunity and has returned to the California Department of Public Health to oversee the home visiting evaluation. So although he's no longer at First Five California, we know that our work together will continue in a different way. So please join me in congratulating David and thanking him for his decade-long service to First Five California, as I believe Commissioner Perry hired him.
Oh, yes, I was at the commission when you were hired, but yeah, congratulations, David.
Say one thing
Yep,
first.
so,
I just wanted to say, I had a pleasure of working at First Five California. I've had the opportunity to work with 3 executive directors, starting with Chris Perry, then Camille Maven and Jackie Wong. I leave First Five California with mixed emotions because I really value the work we've done and all of the relationships I've had with everyone here and staff who are also not here. I'm now going to the Department of Public Health to work on home visiting evaluation. So it's something that's related to First Five. I'm sure many professional paths will still cross. I wish Jackie and the new commission well. Thank you.
So I think that's
Great,
for
yes.
mine.
And in our efforts to streamline the agenda, you all have received the executive director and personnel reports electronically. So at this time, I'll ask if any commissioners have any follow-up questions, and then we'll go to public comment. Seeing none in the room, I'll look to our colleagues in LA. Yeah, Commissioner Hazen.
Yes, I have a question about the item on the update on the refugee funding that we had approved, and I see that we will be accepting proposals, I believe, through the next month. It mentions refugees. I know in our conversation when this was brought to us in October, I had asked about asylum seekers and other populations similar to refugees, but frankly more at risk and with limited access, actually no access to government services, which we know refugee families have. Are those included in this or not?
Debbie, if you wouldn't mind answering that.
Yes, thank you for asking the question. So asylum seekers are not part of this application, but we are expanding our next round of funding when we come to you and request additional funding for additional services. They will be included. We will be expanding the scope of who is included in the next round of funding.
And when will that be?
Well, we should be coming to the program committee with a recommendation in the next several months, and then to the commission prior to the end of this calendar year, so that we can request a substantial amount of money for a broader investment based on what we learned from this investment and also what we are learning about the needs of both the immigrant population and other populations that you had mentioned.
And it will be part of the May 31st budget planning retreat discussions as well.
Okay, I just want to sort of underline what I had shared back in October, which is that we know within this population, asylum seekers have, again, much more limited access to resources, no government assistance. And so as we talk about prioritizing the needs of young children who have faced significant adversity and trauma, we should be thinking more broadly about the immigrant populations we serve. And then the other thing that I didn't see in the legislative items we're prioritizing is looking for support at the state level to invest in this population as well. Again, I know I talk about leverage a lot, but I think it's not just about this $3 million, which is not very much, but really thinking more broadly if this is important to us. How are we trying to push on everything we can to address the needs of this population?
Noted, thank you, Vice Chair Hazen. Commissioner Majors, I didn't know if you also had a question?
I don't, thank you.
And with that, I think we'll go first to the First Five Association and then we'll go. Okay. And so Deborah, I'd like to introduce Deborah Couch, who is the First Five Association Interim Director, for your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Dr. Burke and commissioners, thank you very much for having me here this morning. I'm excited to present an update on the First Five Association. And the theme of my remarks today is to thank you and thank Jackie and her team early in her tenure for a sense of partnership and opportunity that we have been working to build together. Next slide, please. Thank you, Simon. I wanted to just talk about some opportunities for advanced planning on the next phase of some commission initiatives, as well as an opportunity to partner on strategic systems change efforts. And then I just want to talk briefly about our policy priorities for this year. Next slide. So we see partnership opportunities across the board. I'm just going to highlight a few of those today. So the first is that there are several funded initiatives up for renewal, and I know you'll be talking about these at your budget retreat that's coming up, including home visiting coordination, the dual language learner expansion pilots, and the impact program in regional hubs. We see an opportunity for shared planning and have been talking at our leadership level with Jackie about that, including being able to collaboratively design and adjust going forward, building on and incorporating the local county commission successes and lessons learned in these programs, and to work together to identify ways to streamline and improve the consistency of contract and reporting requirements really for all programs. And that common goal of improving and expanding the reach and impact of the programs for children and families. Next slide. I just want to dive deep into one of these because we've been having such great success in our discussions and our working together with the commission, and that is on the home visiting coordination program. So this is a really strong example of collaboration between the association and the First Five California. 50 county commissions are participating in this program. And we were able to work with the commission staff, and again, our sincere gratitude for this, to quickly agree on options for contract extension, since so many counties would have had unspent funds as of June 30. In part because of the program ramp up time that you would normally expect, and then of course the COVID challenges, which really affected home visiting programs across the spectrum. Also, we would just like to raise up here that it's also true that systems change, which we consider these home visiting coordination projects to represent, takes time. So we agreed with and supported and want to continue working on that original 5-year time frame of those projects to allow for that kind of deep work. I just want to highlight a few things so that as part of the conversation we're having. So in less than 2 years, local stakeholders have identified potential opportunities to build and strengthen local home visitation systems, including integrating client input to enhance services delivery, which is, I know, a very important focus of all of ours at this point. Inventorying program services, including strengths, challenges, barriers, and opportunities for improvement. Broadening the lens in which home visiting services are provided to further explore and advance equitable access. Supporting capacity and professional development of home visiting staff. And on the systems change front, integrating, expanding, and enhancing existing systems such as Help Me Grow, ACEs Aware, and Impact. I'd also like to mention to you another collaboration that we're engaged in, our new First Five Association Home Visiting Think Tank, which we're delighted to have Jackie participating on. The think tank is doing a deep dive into home visiting in California, how it is best defined, what is working, what is not. And it will build on the experience of the First Five network to shape a policy framework and vision for the expansion of equity-focused home visiting and family strengthening systems across the state. So we have 10 First Five participants, including Jackie, as I said. So another opportunity that we are engaged in conversation on and very excited about is the partnership opportunity on systems change. So our strategic plan is embedded in a whole child, whole family systems change approach. We really made a shift with this last strategic plan. And we see an opportunity here to collaborate with you in terms of defining systems change and then developing a shared vision and plan for how we can work together to advance systems change. We have an association working group, members of our board, who have agreed to meet with Jackie and staff to lay the foundation for this work. And we're really excited about it and know you share our goal of systems change. And then finally, I'd just like to mention what our legislative priorities are that flow directly from our strategic plan. And there are links in the slide that look kind of barely visible, but those are links to fact sheets if you're interested in more information. But we are pursuing legislation AB 2402 by Rubio. And also the Senate budget recently released their priorities, which included this continuous Medi-Cal eligibility for infants until their fifth birthday, which is such a big and significant opportunity. And just as a side note, I would mention, as someone who spent my career in health policy, I first worked on continuous Medi-Cal eligibility for children in 1991. So just to say, we've been on this path for a very long time. It's exciting to see it really being in the center of the conversation this year. We've also are pursuing a budget augmentation of $250 million over 4 years for infant and early childhood mental health services, which we are also really excited for the model that brings as an adjunct to the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative that was passed last year. This is an additional $250 million that would be focused specifically on children 0 to 5, and using the model that is 2-generational, working with both families and caregivers and children. And then we are also, as I know you are, interested in supporting expansion of home visiting programs, including supporting the $50 million in ongoing general fund proposed in the governor's January budget. So with that, I'd just like to conclude and say that we are really excited to have Jackie here and to working with her and with all of you. And I would like to, on behalf of the association, thank you, Dr. Burke, for your leadership, dedication, and commitment as chair. And as Surgeon General, and especially for giving such a powerful voice to the impact of childhood trauma on children and families. So thank you for that. And I know the members of the association have really respected and appreciated you during your tenure. And also Commissioner Perry, congratulations on your new opportunity. You know, I haven't been here very long, but I know that the association has worked with you for a really long time over the years, and we really appreciate that partnership. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Any commissioner comments or questions? Looking to LA?
No, but I'm sorry, we're thinking you can see us, so we'll be more, we'll make sure to take off mute and say no or yes. No comment.
Thank you. With that, at this point, does any commissioner want to report on an advisory committee meeting in which they participated or make any other general comments on anything on the agenda? Commissioner Alvarez.
Well, I think this is the opportunity that we have just to say thank you to our chair, our outgoing chair, Chair Burke Harris, for your leadership. I think under your leadership, it was the most timely opportunity to really move this commission in the direction of a whole child approach. Given your expertise, your voice, your platform, you have elevated the issue of childhood trauma, as Deborah said, but also just the fact that we have to focus on our kids and that we all have a role to play. All of us are stronger, better commissioners as a result of your leadership, and just really want to appreciate you for all you've done and will continue to do for the lives of California kids and the nation's kids. So thank you. Also want to give super gratitude to Chris, who helped me understand this commission and really broke it down for me in the very beginning in Fresno, and really appreciate that, but also the incredible partnership with the governor's office and the early childhood agenda overall. So really appreciate that. And then I just also wanted to say, this is my first work meeting since having a baby. And these issues that we work on are front and center of my mind. And I know many of the moms that are here, I look to you for inspiration and appreciation and guidance. And it's just, it's really hard to be here. And I just, it matters that it's for this meeting. And I just really want to appreciate the work that goes into the work we do on a daily basis. I know the inches or millimeters that we make of progress don't seem like a lot in the moment, but I'm grateful to be in this work with you and appreciate what is coming down the pike. So thank you all.
Any other comments?
Well, can I please?
Yes, this is the time. This is the time.
I don't want to go on too long, but I am struck by the minute I saw you, Myra, I felt what it must, I remembered what it felt like to be a working mom, and you traveled to come here. So how wonderful of you to do that, and then be so generous. So thank you. And I feel the same, Jackie and Shayna in LA, you're far away, but you feel pretty close. Actually, the screen's huge. You can see you, and I'm so proud of your campaign, Shayna. I really wish you all the best, and Jackie, what you're doing at Crystal Stairs. What an amazing tradition with Karen Hill Scott and Alice Walker Duff and you, and some of the most important leaders I've had the opportunity to work with, and some of you are sitting in this room. And Dr. Burke Harris and I, she may not remember this, our appointments were announced on the same day. And I felt like that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, was that my appointment was announced on the day that yours was, because I've watched you change the way we think about childhood not only in California, but in the world. And to think that we would spend any time together at all on this, much less as commissioners, but just as a members of the Newsom administration, has given me so much joy, and it's been very humbling as well. So I want to thank you for being you, but also getting to be here while you were here, and getting to tell you about Medi-Cal billing. Getting to tell you how hard it is to change Medi-Cal billing and little things like that. So it's been really fun. And if Giannina were here, I'd say the same thing. It's been a joy to be in her sphere for a few years. But what I wanted to say to all of you is, the longest relationship I've ever had in my life is with First Five. And I can't even believe that I've spent 16 years of my 34 years in early childhood, child development, child protection, associated with the First Five community in California as a county director, a state director, and an ex officio commissioner. And I'm just really, I'm very sentimental and nostalgic about it today, because from the minute I saw Rob Reiner trying to move this tax over the finish line to seeing you sitting here today, it's just like a remarkable achievement for all of us that we're here, and that I was never a part of it at all. So thanks for giving me a few extra minutes, but also I can't believe that this is the commission I'm leaving. You're all so impressive. And I trust that you will do things only you get to do, Jackie Wong, only you get to do, because you have a special fund dedicated to the youngest, most vulnerable children in our state, only you. And if you don't take advantage of it, and you don't push, and you don't break down silos, and you don't lead, no one else can or will. It's your job. So best of luck, and thank you for letting me be a part of it for a short time.
Commissioner Munger, I see that you're so we have to give her. Commissioner Munger, Chair Burke Harris allows me to allow you to speak if you.
Okay, Well, I would just join in what everybody else has said. It is a touching moment and it feels a little, it does feel transitional. We're not yet quite all together. We don't have our full room yet. It's like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon a little bit. And, but it gives it sort of an intimacy as well, because, you know, we all have been together a long time, and I have a little bit Chris's vantage point. And I would just like to say what a privilege it's been to serve with Dr. Burke-Harris in particular, because of the paradigm altering work that she's done. And I'm very grateful to Camille for having set us up with such an excellent new executive director in Jackie Wong. That's a wonderful piece of work. Hooray for Camille. And David, I'm really, goodbye, and I wish you well. It was touching to see you going too. And I agree with all the forward momentum that we have, and cheer for us all as we go forward. And one day I will be replaced. I am the lamest of the lamest ducks ever. But I do love being with you. It is an enormous privilege. And anyway, thank you all, and how fun to be here with Chris and Dr. Burke-Harris and Jackie and Myra too. Good work on this day.
I was remiss in not including comments for Commissioner Perry in my opening remarks. I just want to take a moment to thank you. Oh, there's a lot today in this room, post Mother's Day, and what we fight for every single day. Right, those of us who are blessed to spend time with our grandkids and our babies yesterday, is that it is not lost for me that this commission voted me in to be the next leader. And Chris, like, I have had the privilege of working with all three, and it was just such a pleasure to learn from you in your most tenured posts. So thank you for all the service that you have provided and the path that you paved for all of us. 15, we've only been in existence 20, and you've been part of us for 15. So thank you for that. Thank you for the commitment. So.
Thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you to commissioners for your comments. And now we'll move forward to public comment. Members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on any
Commissioner, Vice Chair Hazen and Commissioner Majors, they're waving.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak briefly about what an honor it has been to work both with Chair Burke-Harris and with Commissioner, with Chris Perry. It has been an honor, and I think both of you have pushed us in different ways and challenged us. And I think, Chris, as you reminded us, right, we have a unique opportunity, and I think at every single meeting, you have lifted that up, and just want to thank you for all of the work that you both have done, and I know will continue to do. So thank you.
No. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? I apologize for moving forward. And so now we'll move forward to public comment. Members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on any non-agenda items or items not related to pending judicial, administrative, litigation, or personnel matters. No action by the State Commission may be taken on this public comment. If you are attending virtually and wish to comment, use the raise hand function or the chat function if that's not available. And if you are here today in person and wish to comment, please sign in on the public comment sheet. Jamie will call on the public in order in which they signed up, starting with the people in the room and then calling on people in the virtual queue.
I have Doug Major in the virtual queue. I don't have anybody else.
It's like Doug is elevated. So Mr. Major, you are elevated, so I believe you can unmute whenever you are ready.
Hello, this is Doug Major. I'm a eye doctor. I'm actually doing Ks and TKs this morning for First Five in beautiful Templeton, California. Appreciate the work of Dr. Burke Harris and the ACE program. Just wanted to remind you that vision care isn't an adverse, not having correct vision care is an adverse childhood event. And let's make sure we give the children the tools they need to do well in school for our tiniest learners. Thank you so much for your service, and Godspeed. Best wishes with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, are we on? We're
Let's go.
Any other public comment? Okay. And with that, we'll move forward to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar to be considered routine and will be enacted by one motion followed by a vote. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless the commission, audience, or staff request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. Any agenda item removed will be voted upon following the motion to approve the consent calendar. Does a commissioner or a member of the public wish to pull an item? Jamie? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Moved by Commissioner Alvarez. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Jimenez, second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jimenez. Jamie, can you please call the roll?
Myra Alvarez,
Aye.
Dr. Nadine Burke Harris,
Aye.
Shayna Hazen,
Aye.
Lisa Jimenez,
Aye.
Becky Majors,
Aye.
so.
Aye.
The consent calendar is approved unanimously. And now we'll move forward to the regular agenda. Our First Five California staff will present information items and no action will be taken by the commission. I'd like to welcome Marcia Thomas to present our financial update.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, commissioners. It's nice to be in person. So last time that we were together, we shared the following. We talked about the overall fluctuations in revenue that were transferred from California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, known as CDTFA. We also talked about the low revenue that was received in November, which can be attributed to possible factors such as November's holiday schedule, and not being able to capture, remit, and transfer revenues prior to the month's end. Distributors purchasing less cigarette tax stamps, and a decrease in overall sales, in a few possible assumptions. We discussed the potential impacts of SB 793 to revenues, which implementation is currently suspended, pending because of a potential referendum that's on the November ballot. We also shared the association approved a contract with Brad Williams of Capital Matrix Consulting to do a deeper analysis of the assumptions and the methodology for Prop 10 revenue projections. Mr. Williams will share his analysis at our budget retreat at the end of this month. So for our current fiscal status, this slide right here is the 3-year revenue comparison per month for the state commission. The slide shows the fluctuations that we discussed last month. The revenue demonstrates the lack of consistent patterns and trends in the Prop 10 transfers for the previous 3 years. For the current fiscal year, CDTFA has transferred Prop 10 revenue for the months of July through February. Similar to last year, there was a drop in revenue for February as seen on the next slide. Assumptions around why revenue came in lower is similar to that of November, with February being a shorter month for processing. In addition, there was a decline in tax stamp purchases, with January coming in at 27 million and February being 6.7 million. Since January was higher, there may not have been a reason for distributors to purchase additional cigarette tax stamps. Overall, the amount transferred to the California Children and Families Trust Fund for this fiscal year, July through February, was 179.2 million, with the state commission receiving 35.8 million. For February, the overall revenue collected by CDTFA was 7.9 million, and after adjustments made, 7.1 million was transferred to the California Children and Families Trust Fund. Of this amount, the state commission received 1.4 million to administer the state's funds. This amount was lower than the previous year. When comparing what we have received for this fiscal year to that of the previous year, there has been a noticeable decline. Since distributors are purchasing less cigarette stamps, it could be cigarette sales are down, and the small uptick that we saw in revenues last year may not be what we see this year due to current trends such as the pandemic and the economy. We continue to monitor the revenue as we move forward with long-term decision-making. In the next slide. This slide, we currently have an ask today for the early literacy program, which staff will be presenting a little bit later this morning. This slide will show the impact to the funding for the 3 years being asked. Staff continues to prepare for the upcoming budget retreat, which will take place at the end of this month. Last January, staff shared an overview of the First 5 California program investments. At our retreat later this month, we will share the commissioners with the commissioners the latest revenue projections, fund balances, and discuss further potential investments. And that's it. But this time I'm going to pass it over to Jackie to kind of talk about our upcoming budget retreat.
So it's a lot to digest, but we're going to unpack it much more deeply and intentionally on May 31st in Crystal Stairs. And so I'm sure the request is to actually review the presentations from January. So we'll build on those presentations, including the ask or the suggestion from Vice Chair Hazen about expanding services to asylum seekers as well as immigration. We'll provide a detailed summary of the counts to date, present First 5 California's revenue outlook. So Brad Williams will likely be presenting virtually about the impact of the tobacco ban, so the flavors ban initiatives, and then overview of the future investments, and then have a discussion with the commission and get your feedback on what our thinking is in regards to both the reserve and other accounts such as our administration account, which actually, as you can imagine, is taking a hit. So that is, are there any questions? I know that we'll have much more detailed discussion in a few weeks from now, actually. So, yes.
Time, so we can put on our account.
So, it's 10 to 2, 10 to 3, I apologize. I believe that staff will be sending out a hold on calendars soon. Any other questions about just the overview and the upcoming budget retreats?
Can I ask, like, in preparation for that meeting, could staff pull together how reserve funds have been used in the past, like historically?
Yes.
And maybe just like a bulleted list?
So you're not talking about the 15%, you're just talking about the carryover?
Both. If you could do it both for the allocation rule, that would be really helpful.
Okay, perfect. So. Or unexpended, we call them unexpended funds, correct, Marcia? Not carryover, we don't assume carryover. Yeah. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Commissioner.
To that point, and I don't want to have staff recreating the wheel, but several years ago, we also had a document that kind of in a chart form showed us programs that we were already committed to, how long we were committed to them. Mm-hmm. That would be helpful too, as we're looking at, not only our reserve, but what sort of budget investments we'd like to do in the future.
Yes, we've projected out that chart, created that chart in preparation for May 31st.
Okay.
And extended out for 3 years, 3 years so far. We're playing with the idea of 4 to 5, adding a couple more years.
Okay, great.
Can I ask a question about your total revenue over the next 5 years that's in the chart? Are all of the shifts from flavored tobacco built into that?
It's not, we're gonna
It's
build it
not.
into the
Okay.
budget retreat.
Okay,
Yeah, we were gonna wait until the May revise that comes out and then kind of talk to Brad and then adjust it before we present
Okay.
next time. Yeah.
Not that we want to work against the flavors ban, but it's a reality that we face.
well, there's a federal ban pending.
Yeah. Okay,
Any other questions or comments by Commissioner? And then we'll move to public comments. Jamie, is there any public comment?
no public comment on this, so this is a informational item.
Yes. And hearing none, we'll move forward to the an update on the early literacy program. So I will hand over the mic to Erin Dubé to hear more about our early literacy program.
And Erin Doobie is participating virtually today, so I'm wondering if she's elevated as a panelist yet?
It's coming in.
Good morning, everyone. I am here with you. So nice to see you all. I apologize for not being able to be in the room with you today, but happy to be presenting this ask on early literacy. So Simon, I think you're controlling the slides if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. So as many of you may recall, we presented previously on early literacy and book distribution, and the Commission redistributed existing contract funds to support the California Family Book Distribution Partnership in 2021. As we find ourselves in the third year of the COVID-19 pandemic, where stress and trauma are still incredibly high, we see early literacy as an important strategy to help families bond, create nurturing spaces and moments with parent and child, and provide mitigation against adverse childhood experiences. Regular book reading promotes serve and return responsive communication between a young child and an adult, creates an opportunity for nurturing interactions, and builds learning readiness skills. With inflation high, families are struggling immensely to pay for basic needs like housing, food, and transportation. For low-income families, the opportunity to bond over books may not be there. As reported by USA Reads, a staggering 61% of low-income families nationwide have no books in the home at all, making this investment even more important. We have a great opportunity to be part of the solution to reach more young children with books and families with strategies to use books as a way to bond and support their children's development. The administration has proposed $10 million in general funds in the draft budget for fiscal year 22-23 for early literacy and book distribution for early childhood, creating the potential to partner with other state agencies and programs to holistically address this important area. Next slide. So the ask today is a commitment of $15 million over 3 years to support a new early literacy program. As mentioned, this may serve as a match to the dollars proposed by the administration in the January budget. This matched funding can be used in partnership with the California Department of Public Health to provide multilingual books and early literacy programming for families with young children in collaboration with other state programs such as home visiting and foster care. We are proposing a two-pronged strategy for this funding. First, it will provide books and family engagement strategies throughout the state targeted to specific populations. And second, it will provide funding to local First Fives to implement innovative early literacy strategies in their communities. Next slide. And so we've discussed the many benefits of early literacy programming in the past, but it always feels important to remind ourselves of our why when it comes to investing in this strategy. To truly prepare children for California's future and reduce achievement disparities, a solid foundation of early literacy skills is necessary. Roots of the achievement gap start long before children enter kindergarten. A major indicator for later school success is language and early literacy development, and disparities in early vocabulary growth between children from low socioeconomic status and high SES families have been shown in children as early as 16 months. Having books in the home and being talked, read, and sung to is especially important for our dual language learners and for families from countries outside the US. Those children are less likely to be read or sung to, so it's even more critical to get books and early literacy tips into the home. Next slide, please. So as I've mentioned, this is a great opportunity to partner with other state agencies who serve similar populations of children and families. We've been in conversation with departments of public health, education, and social services about where our efforts can come together to have an even greater impact in this area. I'm going to go into a bit more detail on the next slide, but we plan to work with a number of state-level programs serving high-impact children, such as children participating in home visiting programs, children experiencing homelessness, children in foster care, and multilingual learners. Next slide. So our first strategy for this funding, and where the majority of the proposed funds would go, is to partnering with state-level programs such as those listed on the slide to ensure that children have books in the home and families have the support to make book reading a truly meaningful experience. Book distribution will include developmentally, linguistically, and culturally appropriate children's literature, and we will look to work with existing book distribution programs while ensuring that books reflect the unique diversity of California and that families are able to receive books in a way that works for them. Family engagement strategies in this area can enhance the positive interactions parents and other caregivers already have with their children. Tips on asking questions, helping children to make predictions, and allowing time for infants and toddlers to explore pictures and pages make book reading meaningful for both children and adults. Next slide, please. So we also propose that some of this funding be set aside to issue competitive grants to local First Fives to expand and enhance local literacy programs and implement innovative strategies. We envision that these grants will support promising practices and evidence-based practices, include findings from First Five California's dual language learner pilot, and focus on strategies that enhance child development and family engagement. Additionally, in this area, funding would be set aside to evaluate local work in order to make recommendations for future policy and state-level investments. Next slide. So we've identified some potential objectives for this early literacy program. First, we propose sufficient funding to support book distribution for 65% of our target populations. 65% is an ambitious yet achievable goal when starting a new book distribution program. We also aim to expand capacity in the infrastructure to support early literacy strategies. So this may include enhancing the capacity of existing family service providers to support early literacy and building partnerships that will lead to sustainable early literacy programs throughout the state. We also propose to create resources and other materials that can be utilized for staff development for years to come to infuse early literacy development strategies into existing programs for children and families. And we also hope to increase general understanding of the importance of early literacy for children 0 to 5 and the role that families and other caregivers can play in enhancing this development. Next slide, please. So this slide provides a breakdown of the funds for this ask. Again, this is a proposal for 3 years of funding for a total of $15 million, coming from both the education and research and development accounts. So approximately 10.4 million is dedicated to book distribution. We used a number of $25 per child for 2 years, allowing some time in there that to create buildup of the program and really start with the outreach. Usually takes a little bit of time for ramp up. And we used a number of 208,065 children. So that's 65% of the children currently in some of the programs I described. So that incorporates numbers from the California Home Visiting Program, the Department of Social Services Home Visiting Program, the Black Infant Health Program, as well as children birth to 5 experiencing homelessness or currently in the foster care system. So the training and materials development funds set aside are $1 million. And we would propose that those materials be created in different languages, as well as different types of materials. So it could be online resources, it could be online training modules, and then materials to be used in person as well to create training experiences and really enhance the understanding of early literacy for some of the providers, such as home visiting providers and others. So for local grants, we've set aside 2.5 million, anticipating 250,000 per grant for up to 10 counties. And then evaluation is a little over $1 million. We really want to emphasize the evaluation component of the local county grants to ensure that we have some recommendations coming out of this work in terms of just the area of policy, as well as future program investments, future state investments. So that all comes to $15 million, as I mentioned. And I think that concludes the information that I prepared for you today, but happy to take questions and have discussion around this item.
Questions or comments from commissioners?
I have a question. So you mentioned, I think, a $10 million governor proposal, and hopefully will come out in the May revise. Are those monies anticipated to be funneled through First Five to leverage this, or will it be a separate strategy that's implemented?
In discussion with the administration, that it is proposed to go through the Department of Public Health in partnership, and then in collaboration with the Department of Public Health and others to.
So then First Five would partner with CDPH to assure that we're aligning our strategies, not duplicating.
Correct. As Erin mentioned, we actually have a current partnership with the California Department of Public Health, where they actually have passed through some dollars through an interagency agreement for book distribution as a first kind of pass at this. This is not our first time partnering with the Department of Public Health specifically for book distribution.
And then one more question, if I may. So I think, Erin, you mentioned the 208,000 or so children. You mentioned a few programs. I saw WIC on a previous slide, but I didn't hear WIC population being factored into that 208. Because obviously not all of our children are eligible for some of those interventions that you talked about, right? Home visiting, the CalWORKs, the Black Infant. Is the 208 inclusive of the children that are being served by WIC and may not be receiving some of those other home visiting programs that you mentioned?
No, the WIC, so we anticipate that the $10 million to Department of Public Health would be specifically targeted to children in WIC programs. There are more than 800,000 children in WIC, so it would need to be, a pretty substantial investment. But what we would hope to do is work with Department of Public Health so that we ensure that we're not duplicating services to families, because some of the families who are receiving WIC may also be in other programs. So we'd like to work with them, and we'd also love if we could align on some strategies that work. Some strategies may work better for other populations, but we would like to see something that feels like a truly holistic approach statewide for our young children, as opposed to two separate programs.
Okay, thank you.
So Major is raising her hand.
Thanks for the information. I think my question actually was just answered. And it was a little bit about the idea of duplication as I looked at some of the partners, which is not a bad thing, right? But when we are limited with our resources, we want to make sure we are expanding them as much as possible, of course, to the targeted population. So I guess the second part of my question then would be the alignment of distribution, engagement, and the investment in the local initiatives. Because it's not just about getting books, it's about engaging families. If you didn't have a book, you might not find a priority in books, and how do we sort of scaffold that that understanding, that education along with receiving the book. And I would just say, and when do you receive the book, right? Before or after the engagement? And so just wondering with that, is there a strategy just for alignment of all of this, even with our sort of local initiatives that we fund, as well as the new dual language, initiative that you'll be talking about a little bit? Just is there alignment in all of that at some level?
Yeah, we would plan to incorporate all of those alignment pieces into an RFA or an RFP that went out to the counties. So as I mentioned, we would look to make this a competitive grant process so that we can really look to highlight some of the most promising practices in a variety of counties and really look to have some diversity across the state in terms of where the grants go. It's always nice to be able to have, really take a deeper look at strategies that work well for different types of families, depending on where they live. But we would definitely look to create some consistency. And so we may have sort of a list of options for counties to choose from in terms of requirements versus optional components of the program, but looking at different ways potentially to enhance similar strategies. So when we're looking to enhance families' understanding of the importance of early literacy skills, or families' understanding of sort of some of those strategies that I mentioned in terms of some of the tips to be sharing books with young children, we could incorporate those and ask counties to address them in different ways. And then through the evaluation, we would be able to see, what worked really well with specific populations. So I don't know if that answered your question, but yes, we want to see that there is some continuity and some alignment across the strategies that we're implementing, but also allow for the local flexibility to address particular populations. It might be refugee families in one county, and it might be dual language learners in another county. And it might be a partnership with local libraries in one county, because many of the First Fives are already engaged in those. So kind of targeting some of consistent strategies in different ways.
Yeah, thank you. You definitely answered my question. What I was really looking for is that it's not just book distribution for book distribution, but that while we always want to create this local flexibility to ensure that they are, local agencies are tailored to handle their community, but that we still have some expectation that there is alignment with the other things that are going on, so that we are really penetrating the goal that we are seeking.
Absolutely. And I would say in terms of the book distribution program, we would ensure that there is some sort of family engagement piece that incorporates with that. So whether it's book tips that go out, reading tips, literacy tips that go out with those books, but then also look to enhance that. So one of the strategies we thought about were in working with home visiting programs, that we would actually, if we were sending books to the home, that the home visitor could come in and sit down with the parent and read through that book with them and provide them tips and support as they read through it. So, things like that, but certainly it's not just about books. I mean, that is one piece of it, but the family engagement piece is really where you get the lasting results in terms of social emotional development and development of early literacy skills.
Okay, great. And the last thing I just want to say is, and I also hope this would be aligned, I haven't heard about sort of public outreach or any media campaign that we are looking to continue or to go into new, but that also is in alignment with what folks are hearing from us out in the community, in alignment with what we're doing. But thank you. I appreciate the information deeper.
Of course. Yeah. And I'm wondering, so I heard you say, I believe in terms of the approximately 10 million for book distribution, I think you said 2 years, but I know the whole ask is around 3 years. Did I hear that right?
Yes, so we are looking to have 3 years of funding to be able to allow us a little bit of ramp up time. 2 years, if you don't have the time to ramp up, ends up being a little bit of a shorter program. And so when it involves a new program, as with book distribution, and then also with local county grants where we need time to write the proposal that counties respond to, and get everything up and running, and then also allow time for an evaluation that happens simultaneously. We really feel like that 3 years will be helpful, just in terms of not having to come back and ask for a no-cost time extension, and it just allowing us the time to be able to ramp that up and to be really thoughtful about the development of the book distribution programs as well as the county grants.
Okay, so can you talk us through, so I see the, the $10,403,000, right? You said it was 65% of the priority population and $25 for each of those children. How did you land on the 25? And I'll tell you, I'm asking because I want to know, is this enough to achieve our goals? And so I'm curious what the $25 is supposed to do and why, the multiplier is 25 and not 20 or not 50.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So there are a number of existing book distribution programs, and it's everything from, packaging books in sets, which we did with the California Family Book Distribution Program, and we were able to procure books for very little money, and then have them packaged with a tip sheet for families and distributed that way. And we were looking at a cost of about $2 per book, which is relatively inexpensive. You might want to figure maybe more like $3 or $4 per book, but it comes out to a pretty basic cost. You might spend, say, $12 to $15 per child to just get the books in the home with family engagement tips. But there are also programs that are, Little by Little is an example that costs about $40 per child. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is kind of that middle ground at about $25 per child. Raising a Reader is another one that sends kits out, and those tend to run around $35 per child. So the $25 is just an approximate that we use to calculate the funding, because we know that California is not a one-size-fits-all state. So we would envision using a few different strategies to get books to families based on the types of families that are being served and the types of programs that they're being served through. So for example, in terms of home visiting programs, Imagination Library is a nice strategy because the books go straight to the home and families can actually just opt into the program when they come into the home visiting program or sign a one-page consent form that allows them to be enrolled into that program. It's very low maintenance. It's very, administratively pretty easy to run. But then we know that there are other families, so we may want to engage with other book distribution partners to distribute books in multiple other languages. So for some book distribution programs, we're going to be able to find English and Spanish and bilingual books, but we won't be able to get some of the other languages. And so we want to be able to have the flexibility to have a few different strategies within that. And so the $25 is really just an approximate that is kind of a middle point.
So, so I heard you said Little by Little is $40 per child. Is that
correct?
And I know that's been, shared with us and lifted up to us as a best practice. And so I guess my question is why, or how do we know, or why do you believe $25 is enough?
Well, Little by Little is a strategy that has been shown to be effective, but administratively speaking is a lot more complicated to administer. And because that has been developed with WIC programs, it may be something that CDPH wants to focus in on in certain areas. It wasn't the strategy that we necessarily would propose for the entire state without really knowing that all of our WIC partners are engaged. And as we can speak from experience, we've been working with CDPH and the local WIC programs, and they are honestly incredibly overwhelmed with the work that they are doing right now just to be able to reach families with those nutrition services during the pandemic. And many of them don't have the capacity to administer that type of program because administratively speaking, it's substantially more work and takes a lot more capacity. So we would not actually necessarily recommend that or think that there's capacity in the state at this point to administer something like that. I do think that the Imagination Library is something that would work well for a lot of our populations, and then we could look to implement something that's a little more intensive, like the Little by Little program, and then also, as I mentioned, work with some of our other even local book distribution programs who offer books specific to certain populations and languages. So we didn't use $40 per child because honestly, I just don't think the capacity is there right now to implement Little by Little for the entire state. It's a little bit more complicated of a program because WIC is federally funded, and because the WIC staff can't actually focus on early literacy using those funds. We feel like there may be some other approaches that would work really well to engage families and provide books that are a little more cost effective and not quite so complicated to administer. And the other piece is also considering First 5 California capacity to administer a program. Some of the book distribution programs are a lot less administratively burdensome. So that's why we went with that $25.
Thank you. So I'm hearing, and I hear you saying that it seems like there's not the capacity across the state. And I also hear you saying challenges internally. I have to say, it gives me pause. I think if we're doing this, we should do it 150%. And I'm hearing it's hard. And so we're scaling back. And so I just want to push back a little bit to ask, are we going to be able to affect the change that we seek based on this proposal? Because I'm hearing a lot of, well, we can't do as much. It's tough. And I know it's really tough. And I think that's why I asked, because I think families need more scaffolding, more support. The one thing I didn't hear in terms of what we're doing is adult literacy, right? We know that there are families for whom they receive books, but if parents aren't skilled readers, we know it's going to be challenging to achieve our goals here. So, and I know it's early, but I think for us to really think strategically about what we need to do to wrap around and support families with these dollars. And so I guess my ask to you is 15 million enough to do all the things we need to do?
Yeah, so I, I mean, just honestly, I would not recommend that we try to implement Little by Little as a model for the entire state. So I do think that the family engagement component can come through in other ways. And we think that children into a book distribution program that has a cost of around $25 per child will get them the books that they need, and then that the training component and working with the partners that we mentioned. So home visitors are a really great messenger because they are a trusted messenger for the families. They're in the homes already. And so we think that really helping to support them and their ability to work with families and infuse those early literacy strategies is a really good way to go. You know, the other thing right now about WIC is that a lot of families are not coming in person. So we would hope to really reach those families in other ways. And I think if the commission has interest in adding additional funding, I might suggest that we look at adding funding to the county piece of it, because that's where I think those adult literacy strategies can really come through, and we can see counties doing some really innovative things in that area, partnering with local libraries on those types of pieces, and also incorporating other strategies. Parent cafes are a really great way to get families together in a safe space to talk about child development, to talk about early literacy, and in a way that helps them feel supported and connected to others, because there are so many families feeling very isolated at this point. So that's where I would recommend additional funding go if the commission is interested in increasing the amount there. So right now it's 10 grants for $250,000 each, but we could certainly double down on that and look to put, you know, $5 million into that pot, and that would allow us to reach, you know, closer to half the counties in the state with some of these strategies.
Thank you. Was there Commissioner Alvarez? I think I saw a hand in the room, so I wanted to open that up.
I want to be mindful of time too, because I know we've got a couple more agenda items. So building on what you just said, Erin, just a couple of thoughts. You know, one is if it's 10 grants, $250,000 each, are we putting in like priority language based on counties, on the numbers of our priority population? So that obviously we're prioritizing the counties that house the children who are part of our priority population. That's one specific question. And then two, I just really want to acknowledge the legislative agenda and what the First Five Commission is supporting more broadly. Because I think it's really important to state that it's not an issue of wanting to read to these kids, right? It's a matter of access to books. And we know that low-income neighborhoods do not have access to bookstores in the same way. They don't have broadband, so you can't order it on Amazon like I do, and it comes at night, right? So I just really want to appreciate that the First Five Commission is looking at that bigger picture and recognizing the need to support child tax credits, the need to support, you know, economic security in our families. So just broadband, all these kinds of issues. So I just really want to thank you, the commission, for keeping that holistic perspective in this work, because this really is a drop in the bucket when it comes to, you know, the broader challenges. So I wanted to state that and commend you all, and then get my question answered on the priority population for the counties.
Yeah, so typically what we do when we put out any sort of funding opportunity for the counties is that we incorporate different pieces into their applications. So we can do things like weight applications based on levels of poverty within the counties. You know, we've looked at a number of different metrics in the past. So we can certainly look to, say, target counties that have a higher percentage of children who are multilingual learners, or a higher percentage of children who are living in deep poverty. So we can look, and we will look at those sorts of data when we are developing the application. Does that help to answer that question?
It does, yeah. And then my last question would be on the evaluation. I recognize that it's much more challenging to measure family literacy or engagement strategies for family literacy, right? So rather than the 65% of a specific number, will that be an opportunity for the Research and Evaluation Committee to discuss? Okay, great.
Oh, I'm nodding my head yes, if you see my little head, Erin.
Yes. Well, we will miss David, he's not here. We'll miss David's discussion. I'm looking forward to that, thanks.
You always can come as a guest.
Commissioner Perry.
Just one other follow-on to your suggestion, Erin. By the way, great job fielding so many interesting questions, including this last question about county and prioritization of certain children. Strong Start Index, which I know is a partnership with the association, is, you know, there's a great wealth of data there for prioritizing an investment. So that could be a great resource. Are you also thinking of the funds that counties already spend as match Or wouldn't it be powerful if we calculated what they're already doing along with what the state commission may do, along with what CDPH has been doing? I think for purposes of getting this approval today, I see why you've put a bright line around the 15 million, but it's really a bigger it's a bigger jigsaw puzzle. This is a big piece that would go in. But I think you're leveraging, can you estimate what you're leveraging between public health and county match? So we get a sense of the how much really is going to be invested in children?
Yeah, so currently there's a $5 million investment in books through CDPH, as well as the $10 million next year. And we did, it was January of 2020, actually presented a survey that counties had completed around early literacy programming. And we have not updated that survey, and it would probably be a good time to do that because the information was gathered pre-pandemic. And so I suspect that some of that funding may have shifted during the pandemic. But we certainly can look at that number and create a bigger picture look at the money that is being supported there, as well as some of the other initiatives. I know the State Superintendent of Public Instruction is focusing in on literacy as a goal of his. And so if that would be helpful, we can pull all of that together and really give that big picture look at the funding. But certainly with this, with the 15 million of general funds and this, we would be looking at $30 million in early literacy strategies, not including the local funding.
I also had a question. I noticed the list of partners and it looks very thoughtful, and I want to congratulate the team for, you know, rightly recognizing how important talking, reading, and singing is, especially during this incredibly stressful time where many families are experiencing significant adversity. And one of the questions that I had is that I know that Reach Out and Read is a program that is in partnership with pediatricians to distribute books at pediatric visits. I just wanted to ask, considering that California has been so forward-looking with implementing the ACEs Aware initiative and the idea of talking, reading, and singing being an intervention, I just wanted to ask whether there had been any conversation with Reach Out and Read or to engage with pediatricians or child serving primary care clinicians as part of this effort.
Yeah, so we met with Reach Out and Read a couple of years ago as we were starting to develop some of, we've come to the commission a couple of times with asks for early literacy funding. And so we did meet with them initially. And it's an excellent program that, if you're not familiar, provides children books via their pediatrician at their well child visits. So we could certainly look to continue to work with that program. I think the one thing that we just have to keep in mind as we develop these strategies is to make sure that we're not duplicating, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge. So I would say we will try to, we can certainly reach out to them again. And I would say as well that some of the development money, so the $1 million that's set aside, would be great to go to work with pediatricians and other medical personnel who are working with young children and families, because again, they are a trusted messenger. And I think we would hope to really broadly reach some of our service providers, from medical services to social services, so that we can ensure that those strategies are really being built in, and that a variety of messengers are able to communicate that to families, just to, help enrich those interactions with parents and children.
Yeah, I will say that I will take the privilege of my last meeting as chair to say how much I would love to see, especially as California has invested in the ACEs Aware initiative and will be continuing to invest in that initiative. The opportunity to, I think sometimes that we can provide the ingredients, right? But, and it's to the point that Commissioner Majors made about engagement, right? We can provide the ingredients, but if we don't also provide the recipe for people to follow, which is really like a clinician working with a family, maybe explaining that to them, oh, you know, I see that on your ACE screen, your child has experienced 4 ACEs. You know, one of the interventions that we know really makes a difference is talking, reading, and singing. I'm going to give you this tool right now, and I want to follow up with you, you know, in a month or 2 months or whenever to understand, you know, to the extent to which you're doing this regular reading to your child and whether or not we're seeing it makes a difference. I just think that that for our clinicians and our home visitors, really helping them get very concrete about how we can use this investment as a tool to improve the health and well-being of our kids is really critical.
Agree, that's a very powerful strategy, and we will definitely take that into consideration and work to incorporate it as part of this if the funding is approved.
Thank you.
I have just a clarifying question. Vice Chair Hazen, was there a desire or on the table or the discussion to increase the investment?
Yes, you read my mind. I was about to say that. So I am interested in, based on the recommendation we heard, in increasing the county funding to $5 million, though I do want to add, for me, it's not necessarily that we should double the number of local grants, but potentially providing larger local grants. So I heard that the proposal was initially to do $250,000 grants to 10 sites or to 10 counties. And Aaron suggested we could do that same amount to 20 counties. I'd be interested to know, might it make sense to stick with the 10 counties but do larger grants? I don't know the answer, but would like to provide staff with that flexibility. So yes, my suggestion is to increase the 2.5 to 5 million for the local grants.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, and I would say that staff would definitely like to go back and look a little bit deeper. I do think that your suggestion makes sense, and so I think increasing the overall amount and increasing that amount specifically to $5 million without necessarily naming the number of counties provides enough flexibility.
Yeah, and I would guess for me just to add, you know, that my hope is that, you know, we can go deeper, right, with those dollars.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Commissioner Bunker.
It sounds as if we were propelled into moving this forward because the governor put it in his budget. We had been percolating literacy on our, not exactly back burner, but it wasn't we weren't really making it the top priority. And I think the conversation has the feeling of a staff that's been propelled into moving something forward that they've been working on, that they're knowledgeable about, but you know, just they could use a little more time to think about all the things that have been said. And I don't think it needs to get in the way of the motion. I think we just need to understand that it's a work in progress. And I think the proposal to add some funds to it, I think that might be a good idea because it does feel just a little under it feels like we've got a high needs population that may require more administrative help, more focus. And the answers have tended to be, we can't do that because we don't have enough money to do that. Well, maybe we should think about that a little differently. So I just think it feels like we haven't gotten all the answers today. We don't need to have all the answers today. Could somebody remind me what the basic motion is to just approve $15 million to what?
To establish the early literacy program as.
Yeah, to establish the program. And then Jackie, would it be true that then we would have an opportunity to come back and refine and answer some of these concerns, the balance between county and state, the federal and state issue, the go deep and go broad. And we deal with these all the time. It's perennial. But we want to get it right in this program. So what do you think about, having a voting for it today and then putting it on the agenda for the very next meeting to go back at it? I think it could benefit from that.
So Commissioner Munger, I'm going to ask for clarification. I think that there's also, it'd be a total of 17.5 because I'm looking around the room. If
it would be, yes, so we heard from Commissioner Hazen a recommendation to increase the funding for the local grants from 2.5 to 5 million. So that would put the overall initiative at a total of 17.5 million from the originally proposed 15 million.
Yeah.
And to your point, Commissioner Munger and Commissioner Alvarez, there's a lot going on in literacy between the state librarian, the SSPI, and those are, so we are actually, as we always do, we're leading and we're taking the action first before those things are being kind of hammered out, if you will, in the legislative process. So to your point, we're happy to provide an update if this motion passes today, to come back about what that means after the budget acts of the May revise and the negotiations there, with the multitude of literacy efforts underway and under consideration. We understand the state librarian himself has about 20 proposals.
Yeah. It's interesting. It is a great field. I'm glad we're going into it. I'm glad we have these wonderful partners. There's a little bit of an embarrassment of riches and a little bit of a hurry up thing. And, that's okay, because we always have to iterate anyway. We plan a little, do a little, plan a little, do a little, that's just kind of how it is. So, we've been planning all the investment that the staff put into understanding, and I've been there. I don't mean to say we haven't doing it. We've looked into all these programs. We have answers on these things because we've worked it hard. I appreciate that. It's a new landscape though, because others now have piled in and there's more questions. I mean, I get this. So anyway, I think it would be good to just put it on the agenda again, approve the motion today, but put it on and keep it in an iterative mode for a while we get comfortable with it.
Well, I think that's very reasonable. And before I call for a motion to approve this item, I do want to clarify my previous suggestion about reach out and read. I think the one other piece that I would like to share explicitly that I would like to see a part of this is an outreach to the ACEs Aware initiative, right? So whether it's to make sure that we're connecting, at least exploring the opportunity to connect this work of distributing books to some of the state's efforts to address adversity, especially in young children. Because I think that we frame it that way, as in there is so much trauma and adversity, and we know that talking, reading, and singing to kids is really important. But I want to make sure that as we structure this for implementation, that we're explicitly setting it up to do that function by partnering with, by at least reaching out to having an exploratory conversation with the ACEs Aware team to see if there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, I think I would like to second that and make it clear that one of the things that I've heard very much here is a concern by the commissioners that we have just approved a lodestar of, you know, caring about kids that have really been at the bottom of the heap in terms of their life experiences. And we always have to balance the pressures to serve every kid in every county with a broad program. And I mean, honestly, we understand all the political push, but this is a kind of a first test of our strategic planning, redirection, and focus. And what we need to always bear in mind here is that our job here is to focus in all this mix and foam and tumult. Our job is to focus on the kids that need it most. That's our job, and that's our singular focus. And Jackie, I know you feel this in your heart of hearts. I know you do. So, you know, I just think it maybe hasn't come quite clearly across today, but I know it's informing the thinking maybe in ways that can be clarified to the commissioners, and let's do that.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Munger. And I see that we have a hand raised from Aaron, and we also have a public comment, and then we should move forward for a motion and a vote so that we can stay on time with our agenda. So Aaron?
Yes, thank you. If I may just make one more comment before public comment and the motion statement is made. In light of wanting to increase the dollars for the local grant piece of this funding, I would suggest adding $500,000 to the evaluation from the research and development account to ensure that we have enough funds available to do a thorough evaluation of the local innovations and the local grants. Okay. So that would put the total at 18 million.
Thank you, Aaron. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
So the 18 million is a friendly amendment to the motion originally made?
We don't have a motion yet.
Oh, we don't, okay.
But we will very shortly. Commissioner Risso had a hand raised.
I just have a quick comment, kind of value adding on what Commissioner Hazen was implying on the LA end. And I agree with adding the 500,000 in the evaluation process, because I think it's imperative that we know our audience. And working with a high Hispanic population in my community, books that have the English on one side and then the Spanish version of that on the other side really increases the engagement with the low literacy of the parent. So the evaluation process of really getting to know who our audience is that's going to be receiving the books, I think, is imperative to this process.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Risso. And with that, we will go ahead and take public comment.
Up to first is Shannon Whaley.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me?
We are, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for allowing public comment. I'm Shannon Whaley. I'm the Director of Research and Evaluation with PHFE WIC, really big WIC program in Southern California. The last time I saw many of you was probably not in that exact room, but in Sacramento in February of 2020. I spoke about Little by Little, and I was right next to a full-size, life-size doll of Dolly Parton. So we also heard about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and who knew in February of 2020 what was about to happen. So it's been quite an interesting couple years. Commissioner Munger's comment about all of this work being a work in progress just rings so true. We did start Little by Little about 20 years ago down here in LA County. And I think I just wanted to speak on the record. I so appreciate the comments made today about some of the difficulties around expanding Little by Little within WIC. But I do want to share that the expansion in this last year with the $5 million from the governor's budget, I'm not sure I would use that as your example, because what happened is it came up very quickly. It has to be spent by June 30th of this year. So many local WIC agencies, frankly, couldn't get it through their commissions in time. So I want to just be clear that I think there's a lot of potential for the Little by Little program across California, that maybe this first year of the governor's funding of 5 million isn't demonstrating the true potential. And I think what brings the most wonderful potential in this work in progress mode is your vision to make this a multi-year funding source of 2 to 3 years. I think WIC programs are very challenged with that 1 year funding of use it or lose it, because you feel like you're ramping something up and then you have to shut it down. So I just want to keep on the table a lively discussion about the Little by Little model. It's evidence-based, we see it working. And I can tell you from down here in LA County, where we've been doing this for 20 years, well, we were able to use some of the government's money this year to expand. That's gone really well because we all kind of have been doing this work for a while. We're now slowly expanding to other WIC programs around the state who've not done this work before. And you all know better than I do that this work takes time. So I'll stop there. I really appreciate this conversation today and for being invited to comment. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much, Shannon.
Next one doesn't have a name, it just says First Five Merced County.
Oh, hi, this is Scott Waite from First Five Merced County. I'm the executive director here. I really appreciate what the commission is discussing. We launched the Dolly Parton Imagination Library in July of 21, so we are just wrapping up our first year. And I would really say that it is important to think about the ramp up time. We initially enrolled about 400 kids, and we see a pretty steady enrollment month over month. But we've only reached about 15% of the eligible population in our county. It is true that it runs about $2.12 a book, and administratively it is very low. It's accepting kids and paying invoices and really just connecting with families. We've run radio ads. We worked with our library to distribute flyers with QR codes. We did a flyering at the beginning of preschool enrollment with all of the new kids. We've really done a number of outreach, and we still see a slow kind of steady trickling of enrollment. So I think the multi-year portion of it is very important to consider. But also being a middle-sized county and having previously worked with First Five Kings County, which is on the smaller side, a $250,000 grant per year would be more than enough, or even more than we would be able to handle initially. As we said, our first year's rollout, we spent around $50,000, including advertising. Our book cost came in at just over $33,000. So just for some consideration, to think about maybe more than just 10 counties being able to participate with a large grant, because that does limit your pool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, do we have a motion? Commissioner Russo? Do you want to state your motion?
I motion to approve the early literacy program
At the amount of?
at the amount of $18 million for over 3 years. First time, thank you.
Thank you. Motion from Commissioner Russo. Do we have a second?
I second.
Jamie, can you call the roll?
Myra Alvarez.
Aye.
Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris.
Aye.
Shannon Hazen.
Aye.
Aye.
Jackie Majors.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
The motion is passed. Now we'll move forward on the agenda to our next item. No action will be taken by the commission, and we will hear from David Dodds about the presentation of the dual language learner pilot study update.
Good morning, commissioners. So I would like to provide you some background on the origin and history of the dual language learner pilot study. That relates to my role as former deputy director of the Research and Evaluation Office. And following my presentation, Heather Quick from the American Institute for Research will come and present summary findings from the study. So the origin of the dual language learner pilot has to do with the 2014 strategic plan. And during the process of the creation of that strategic plan, around 1,200 stakeholders were consulted. One of the key issues that was raised was how to teach dual language learners, so children who are learning one or more language at home. As we know from data in the California Health Interview Survey, almost 60% of children ages birth to 5 are dual language learners. The commission in 2016 approved $20 million for a dual language learner pilot. We had to figure out then how to implement this project, and we had a lot of debate about how to structure it. Typically, a pilot is a program first and an evaluation to follow. After consulting with many experts, including Peter Mangione at WestEd and a dual language learner input group composed of academics and first fives and advocates, we decided to launch the evaluation first and then follow with the program. And so $7.5 million was reserved for the evaluation that eventually was contracted to the American Institutes for Research, and then $12.5 million for programmatic work at the county level. I would also just like to kind of summarize briefly what I think were the most important things we learned from this project. So one is that there are counties in California that have deep experience with dual language learners. And that wasn't clear. It was, people knew that locally, but maybe not statewide. So that's one of the things that this project has done is we've captured that information and documented that for our state. So many of these experienced counties can serve as models for other counties. Secondly, we've learned that attitudes about dual language learners have changed. So 20 years ago, there was more English only or English first sentiment. That's changed, and there's survey data from the public and also all the education providers to show that there's an increased interest in supporting dual language learners. Thirdly, another interesting finding to me from this project is that there are language agnostic strategies that teachers can use in the classroom. So it's not always possible to have a teacher and the child speak the same language. A teacher might have multiple languages in the classroom. And so that's one of the areas that AIR investigated as well. I want to briefly just thank some of the staff who worked on this, because as again mentioned, we started in 2016 and now we're in 2022. So Robert Dean wrote the original draft RFP, Shauna Wynn Swan provided programmatic support, Lakshmi Gurajada, Desi Soto, a manager in the early days. And then I especially want to thank Debbie Silverman, who really served as my co-contract manager. So she brought to this project her knowledge of early learning, evaluation, and especially for me, contract management. She's better at contracts than I am. And we went through three rounds of amendments. So on that note, I want to also say thank you to our contracts office, Earl, and Jamie in administrative services, because the administrative support for this project was critical. On that note, I will invite Heather to talk about the study.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here. We're so excited to share some of the key findings.
So it should be in slideshow. Arrow button over.
Perfect. Thank you. Technology. I thought we figured this out with the pandemic, but happy to be here in person too. This is my first in-person meeting, so really happy to see real faces.
So I'm going to share with you some of the key findings from the dual language learner pilot study, which we've been engaging in over the past few years, and also highlight some of the implications. Before we dive in though, I want to just kind of set the background and the policy context for this work. As David mentioned, estimated 50% of children under 5 are dual language. And there are clear benefits to bilingualism. This is being borne out in research over and over again. Benefits in terms of cognitive outcomes, executive functioning, sociocultural outcomes, educational achievement outcomes, and economic outcomes. So really, the benefits are widespread. So really important to focus on this group. The policy context has also been evolving. The master plan for early learning and care really has elevated the importance of serving dual language learners and highlighting the need for including serving children equitably and highlight specifically the needs of language learners. California also invested $5 million in providing professional development to educators to support the needs of 2018. So that professional development was rolled out, and we actually have some of the teachers who received that professional development study. So a lot has been happening, but there's still a need to better understand how educators and systems can best support DLLs and their families to ensure their success. So there are 3 broad areas of focus that are really important to consider for supporting DLLs. And these are the 3 areas that the study focused on as well. Instructional strategies, in particular, support for the home language and instructional practices in the classroom that are culturally and linguistically responsive. Strategies to engage families in their children's learning for those DLL families, and especially to encourage their home language support. And then 3rd, professional development to ensure that teachers have the knowledge and the tools to be able to best support their DLL students. So the study's been guided by 4 overarching goals. The first of which is to characterize the landscape of supports for DLLs in California. We did this through conducting a background study across the state. The second and third goals of the study are to describe the range and distribution of practices used in early learning and care to support DLLs, and then also to examine how those practices relate to outcomes for children and families. And we explored those goals through an in-depth study where we focused more intensely on a subset of early learning and care programs. And then the fourth goal was to illustrate how promising practices can be sustained and scaled throughout the state. And this was addressed through the expansion study. So I'm going to just tell you briefly about each of these 3 studies, and then I'll share with you some of the key findings that cut across these studies. So first, the background study. To characterize the DLL landscape, we conducted interviews with county stakeholders in 16 counties that were selected to represent the diversity of the state in terms of populations. We also conducted a state representative survey of 800 early learning program administrators, both centers and family child care homes, to really understand the spread of policies and practices in place in programs across the state. And one of the things that was really elevated was the nearly universal presence of DLLs. 98% of centers and 70% of family child care homes served at least 1 DLL in 2019. And obviously, many served many more. And these children were in multilingual settings. 57% of DLL serving centers served children representing 3 or more languages. This was somewhat less common among family child care family childcare homes, of course, because they're smaller. The in-depth study included 174 early learning and care programs and over 2,000 DLLs within those programs in the 2019-20 program year. We included children from all ages, birth to 5, infants, toddlers, and preschoolers, and representing 4 language groups: Spanish-speaking, children from Spanish-speaking homes, Mandarin-speaking, Cantonese-speaking, and Vietnamese-speaking homes. They also represented children in diverse settings, family child care homes, and center-based cares settings. No transitional kindergarten classrooms were included here. We conducted surveys of teachers in these programs, as well as parents of the DLLs. We conducted direct assessments of the preschool-aged children on a variety of outcomes from language, both English and home language, early literacy, early math, which was also conducted in both English and the home language to capture the full spectrum of math knowledge, and executive functioning. We also administered indirect assessments of social emotional skills. This was given to families of all children, and also language and general development for infants and toddlers. We had also planned a second round of assessments and really in-depth observations of classrooms in the spring of 2020. As you can imagine, that did not happen. But we do have a very rich data set that we've been analyzing over the last couple of years. So lots to share. For the expansion phase, the expansion included 16 counties. The same 16 counties received additional funding to expand strategies to support DLLs through building teacher knowledge, strengthening strategies for family engagement, and strengthening system-wide commitments to support DLLs. So a whole range of activities occurred there. And we examined this through interviews with county representatives who were engaged in this work, conducted focus groups with providers who received some of the professional development, and conducted interviews with parents who were the beneficiaries of some of the family engagement work. Okay, so let's turn to some of the things that have emerged from these 3 studies. First, as David mentioned, we really found a strong commitment and support for bilingualism across all levels of the system. Counties reported shifting community attitudes away from kind of an English-only stance influenced by restrictive legislation of the past, Prop 227, to more of an asset-based framework, valuing the home language and development of bilingualism. Most program directors that we surveyed across the state valued bilingualism. They reflected that sentiment and demonstrated some knowledge about dual language learning. 88% of parents who were surveyed of the DLLs wanted their child to grow up to speak the home language and English. So this sentiment was conveyed across all levels down to families. But there is room for improvement there. Fewer than 1 in 5 programs have a formal plan in place for serving DLLs. So although programs reported valuing this, they have not yet put a specific plan in place to address it. A third of the programs in California do use an English-only set of instructional approaches. So the next aspect, the main thrust of the study was really around looking at instruction. And we used data from teacher surveys. We explored 2 aspects of instruction, use of the home language and instructional practices. And we found really consistently positive relationships between the use of the home language and children's learning outcomes. Specifically for preschoolers, we found that more home language use in the classroom was associated with a range of measures from Spanish language skills, both vocabulary and oral comprehension, math as assessed in Spanish, literacy, executive functioning, English oral comprehension skills as well, and bilingualism. So the strongest results that we observed were for Spanish, children from Spanish families, Spanish-speaking families, but also we found significant results for children from families Mandarin and Cantonese. We did not find statistically significant results for Vietnamese-speaking families. We also identified several promising instructional practices. So in addition to the amount of home language use in the classroom, other strategies for supporting the home language, we also found positive results for use of books, the availability of books in the home language in the classroom, as well as the use of songs and basic phrases in the home language. These were also positively related to outcomes for preschool DLLs. Teachers also reported a number of challenges, however. The availability of materials was a challenge that was commonly reported. This includes books in the home language and other instructional materials. Also the availability of reliable and valid assessments, especially in non-Spanish languages. This is something that the study really encountered. Was a significant aspect of our work was finding, modifying, translating assessments that we could use with the children to capture their outcomes. So there's a lot of work that could be done to expand that. For infants and toddlers, we found that greater English use and teacher English proficiency was positively related to infants and toddlers development, specifically around development of their overall general development and in English skills. And just like with preschoolers, we found that having more Spanish books in the classroom was related to toddlers' Spanish language outcomes, specifically their Spanish language complexity. So some consistent results there. Next, we looked at family engagement and found from our survey of families that most families reported receiving some positive messages from their programs. They received generally communications in their preferred language, whether it be in their home language or in English, and also positive messages around bilingualism. Parents also reported receiving home language, home learning activities that they could do with their child. 34% of families reported receiving these materials in the home language and in English, so they could engage with those activities bilingually. 30% reported receiving those materials only in English, and this was more likely to happen in centers. Family child care homes, when they provided those materials, were more often in the home language. Looked at also the relationship between these family engagement strategies and families' outcomes, and found that families whose programs provided positive messages about bilingualism and cultural diversity placed more emphasis on the value of home language skills as an aspect of school. That message hit home for them. In addition, families who were provided home learning materials were more likely to report engaging in learning activities like reading and counting with their child. They did so more frequently And this was even more the case for families that received those home learning materials in the home language. Counties in their expansion projects also engaged around engaging families in the program and in their child's learning. They provided workshops, parent cafes, family literacy activities, and some more informal supports too, reaching more than 11,000 families. They also distributed books, 50,000 books across those 6 counties, which included a large number of bilingual books, many ones available in home language Spanish and some in other languages as well. Counties reported a number of lessons learned from this work, specifically that families really appreciated these concrete supports like books and technology, especially during the pandemic. Wi-Fi hotspots and tablets were tremendously appreciated. They also reported that the virtual trainings were actually effective with families. They were a little bit skeptical, I think, of that, but there were some challenges, but generally they worked well. And families, reaching families, really, it's important to engage with those trusted messengers to make sure that those messages are getting through. Next, we looked at professional development and found from our statewide survey that few early learning programs across the state require staff to receive DLL-focused professional development. This is something that is specified now in the master plan, so this may change. And from our teacher survey, we found that most teachers reported receiving at least a little bit of DLL-related professional development, but fewer than 1 in 4 reported receiving a lot of professional development on any given topic related to DLL. Teachers, we were really interested in how participating in professional development was related to learning outcomes for teachers. And we found some consistent and positive findings here. Teachers who had received more DLL-related PD had more favorable attitudes about bilingualism and greater confidence in their ability to support DLLs. They were also more likely to use evidence-based instructional practices for teaching DLLs, and including use of the home language for instruction and having books in the home language. So two of the components that we found to be related to children's outcomes, teachers were more likely to use them if they had received this professional development.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a brief time check because I want to make sure that we have time for public comments. So we have just a few more minutes for this section before we.
Okay, I will zip through. This is close to the end, almost done. I just wanted to really emphasize here that teachers who received more professional development related to DLLs also reported using more of those good family engagement techniques that related to positive outcomes for families. But teachers generally wanted more professional development. The counties also engaged in a lot of professional development through their expansion work, reaching 2,000 providers. They offered unit-bearing courses in some cases, and they found some positive outcomes according to providers, learning the importance of children growing to be bilingual and conveying that to families, as well as strategies to engage with children in the classroom too. So getting to the end here. So given these findings, I think there are a few things that the commission might want to consider. One is elevating key messages throughout the state, for example, about the benefits of bilingualism. Continuing investments in professional learning opportunities for teachers and providers, which includes supports for teachers who speak the home language, to continue to and expand their use of the home language in the classroom, as well as supports for teachers who do not speak the children's home language. Collaboration with community colleges for unit-bearing courses might be a good thing. Leveraging the QCC system as a vehicle for strengthening DLL supports, in particular, helping to incentivize programs to increase participation in DLL-focused PD, as well as potentially bringing in the QCC coaches to help teachers embed that practice in their work. Support the development and distribution of DLL resources and materials. I heard that just in the last discussion, so great to hear that books in the home language. And then potentially convening conversations to align practices, especially with rolling out focusing on the needs of DLLs, and that work is going to be really important. And given the work on this pilot and the study, First Five might be well positioned to lead that conversation. For more details, we have a number of briefs on all these topics that you can get more information on. They're available on our website. Here's the study website, and we will have additional briefs coming out in the next 2 months on professional development experiences, instructional practices for preschool toddlers, DLL families' experiences during COVID, and this time. So I'll leave that up there. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. That's truly excellent work. Do we have any questions or comments from commissioners?
If I may, just a quick comment. I think this is very enlightening in terms of how our systems need to continue to support our dual language learners. And it's great to see that there is that effort in this space. So how do we continue that as they enter into the TKK through 12th grade? What is it that we need to foster with our other partners and stakeholders to assure that this level of support continues in those grades so that people truly are bilingual as they grow up. So thank you.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Just building on that, I also want to really underscore what I'm sorry, thank you, Heather. Underscore what Heather said about connecting it to our other work. So first, the connection to the conversation around early literacy. I mean, that's just such a great opportunity to heed your advice and be able to do that. But the other thing is that first one about elevating, it's on the previous slide, elevating key messages throughout the state and really leveraging our communications investment and really seeing that link. You didn't talk about this, but I know there's plenty of research that talks about how emphasizing dual language relates to positive racial identity development and then positive mental health in our young ones. So that there's such a key opportunity with that critical investment. So it's exciting to see, you know, what these findings are and our direct impact on following through on them. So thank you.
Anything from our commissioners in Los Angeles?
No, I think what was just shared, I was nodding my head because it reflects what we were discussing here. So I think particularly not looking at this in a silo, but really thinking about it in relation to what we heard about the literacy work, making sure it is aligned with our communications work. So echo the comments that have already been made.
Thank you. And if there's no further questions or comments from commissioners, we'll turn to public comment. Okay. And hearing no public comment, then I want to thank you for your excellent presentation. And we'll turn it back over to David Dodds to present the Emergency Child Care Bridge Program evaluation.
So good afternoon, commissioners. So again, I would just like to provide a brief introduction to this particular evaluation project. The Emergency Child Care Bridge is a program that was originally piloted by CCRC, the Child Care Resource Center in Los Angeles, and then it was adopted statewide, but with funding from the legislature in 2017. And the purpose of the Child Care Bridge is to provide childcare for foster parents. So Susan Savage will be presenting in just a minute more about what the project is. But from the First Five California perspective, I think it was really a good project for us to fund because it addresses an intersection between child welfare and early learning. And not only that, as far as it relates to the systems we have in the county and the state. One of the conversations we had with CCRC was we discussed this project was that from the First Five California side, it was very important to include the parent voice. And so that they agreed that that was something they would include the foster parent voice. I would also just like to say that this evaluation project was co-funded also by the First Five San Bernardino and the Heising Simons Foundation. So with that, I would like to ask Susan if she would present a summary of findings.
Thank you, David, and thank you for all your support over the years. I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate the time to be here and present the information to you on the California Emergency Child Care Bridge Program. Dr. Susan Savage from Child Care Resource Center, my colleague, is with me. Thank you. Next slide. And I'm going to stand because my voice doesn't always project, so I'm hoping that will help. And I recognize I'm here between you and lunch, so I'm going to try to move it through. So that's always a difficult position. Half of our children in foster care are 0 to 5 years old, but a staggering 1/4 are under 1 year. Vulnerable time of life. Many move from place to place in the foster system. That's not a stable environment. Many experience adverse childhood experiences. Again, we need to provide as much support for this population so they have a chance in their future. Next slide, please. Thank you. Technology. All right, and many of you know already that Black and brown children are disproportionately represented in the foster care system. Again, this is an opportunity for equitable support to raise these children up and support them for their future. Next slide, please. And David spoke about the timeline here, where in 2015, Department of Children and Family Services in LA County reached out to CCRC and said, we're having trouble placing children 0 to 5. Parents, when they receive the call, especially the relative caregivers, say, I have to go to work tomorrow. Some of them are grandmothers, aunties. They don't make a lot of money, and we need to place these children, especially 0 to 5. How can you help us track this, figure out what to do? Well, a group began to advocate for bringing this to the legislature. Didn't hit the first time around. We kept going. We kept fighting. In 2017, we conducted a pilot to see what do we need to support these children. And then we finally got that budget traction. We got it through the legislature in October of 2017. We launched statewide in January of 2018. In 2019, we reached out to a number of groups, including First Five California, for funding to evaluate this statewide program. Next slide, please. Purpose of the Emergency Child Care Bridge Program is to increase the number of foster children successfully placed, especially in those home-based settings, and in particular with relative caregivers. Increase that placement stability so they're not moving from one foster placement to another. Increase the capacity of child care providers to offer trauma-informed care for these vulnerable children and to maximize funding support. Ensure these children have what they need along with their families. Next slide, please. Wow, I need to redo those slides. You can't see a lot of that. That's really light. I apologize for that. When we did the pilot, we found 3 components were really critical for this program. We needed the vouchers because childcare is so expensive, $17,000 a year for full-time center-based infant care, $12,000 for family-based care. They need childcare navigators. The childcare system is very complex. They're already trying to set up their home, get things ready for the children to come to be in their home, they have to be reviewed. Last thing they need is to try to figure out, how do I find childcare tomorrow? So the navigator is there to find out what hours, days, languages, what, home-based, center-based, where in the community, and call around to all of those to find out who has an opening. If you're taking in a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, is there a place that can take a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old? The navigator does that for them. Also, the trauma-informed care training and coaching for the childcare providers to ensure that they're placed in a childcare location that is trauma-informed. Very critical. Next slide, please. And I'll move on to the evaluation. Next slide, please. So we ensured that the components of influence in a child's life were infused in our evaluation. So we looked at the system of child welfare and childcare, the childcare location, and the family environment, all influence the child. Next slide. There were two main components for our evaluation: an implementation evaluation and a results evaluation. The implementation evaluation was funded by Heising Simons Foundation. The results evaluation, looking at the family results, was funded by First 5 California, and the evaluation results for the trauma-informed care was funded by First 5 San Bernardino. Next slide, please. We used a multi-method approach, including administrative data and surveys and key informant interviews for parent caregivers. I'll use the word caregiver. That is what is used in child welfare. So when you hear caregiver, think parent, as well as working with the child care providers, with surveys and interviews. We also reached out to the staff who work with the parents, caregivers, and the providers, as well as the leaders in the child welfare and ECE programs. Next slide, please. We worked with 12 sample counties across California, including early implementers who launched their program right away in January 2018, some who launched a little bit later, needed some more time to ramp up, as well as later implementing counties, because we knew we would have lessons learned from each of these types of counties. Next slide, please. We were able to secure over 300 caregiver surveys, 600 provider surveys, over 100 administrative interviews of staff and leaders, and over 50 caregiver parent interviews, and over 50 provider interviews. Next. Now I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa, my colleague, and there's, if you have the PowerPoint, there's also a link to a video that you can see in your spare time.
So one of the main goals of the Bridge program is to increase the number of children in foster care who are successfully placed in stable caregiver settings. We found that based on the data, the Bridge program does increase the stable placement of children in foster care. 40% of caregivers would have not have accepted children without the Bridge program. We had a family from San Bernardino County mentioned they would have not been able to take the 4 children or an infant because they both of the parents worked. Another family from San Diego County mentioned it would have been hard and would have probably not been able to accept a child who wasn't old enough to go to school. Relative caregivers tend to say they would have accepted the child because they were family. They would just find a way to make it work. The caregivers who responded to the online survey agreed that the Bridge program helped reduce their level of stress. 96% of caregivers reported reduction in stress level due to the child attending childcare. 85% of caregivers reported that the childcare navigator helped them reduce their level of stress, and 76% of caregivers reported that the Bridge program helped reduce their economic stress, and 70% reported that the Bridge program helped reduce their emotional stress. Overall, caregivers had positive things to say about their child's well-being due to participating in the Bridge program. 94% of caregivers reported being satisfied with the quality of childcare. 94% agreed that the providers supported the needs of their children. and 90% agreed that the provider kept them informed about their child's development. Caregivers also reported noticing positive changes in their child. 93% of caregivers attributed improvements in their child's behavior due to attending consistent childcare. 90% mentioned that the child built strong bonds with their childcare provider. 78% reported noticing positive changes in their child's well-being. They noticed the child thriving socially, cognitively, and physically. The Bridge program supports the quality, oops, sorry. That's fine. So the Bridge program supports the quality of childcare by providing access to TIC training and coaching by local R&R agencies. The goal of the TIC training and coaching is to really increase the capacity of a childcare provider to meet the needs of children in the foster care system and who have experienced trauma. Childcare providers were asked to rate their knowledge before and after participating in the TIC trainings. And findings show that the providers rated their knowledge before and after, their knowledge and ability to care for a child who has experienced trauma higher after participating in the TIC trainings. Similarly, providers were asked to rate their knowledge and abilities related to practices, their TIC practices before and after participating in TIC coaching. We found statistically significant results in these areas. Providers were more willing to accept a foster child into their care after participating in TIC coaching. They also rated their abilities and their knowledge to care for a child who has experienced trauma higher after participating in TIC coaching. So we know that TIC trainings benefit the child care provider and also the children in their care. However, there's been a challenge in getting the providers to participate in trauma-informed care training and coaching. We asked providers how many providers participated in coaching, and only about half of them said they participated in TIC trainings and coaching. When we asked those who did not participate, what would encourage them to participate? And what they told us was, if more of the trainings and coaching sessions were offered online, that would encourage them. If more information was given to them about how the TIC program benefits their childcare, if the trainings and coaching sessions were offered at more convenient times of day or at more convenient days, and if some sort of certificate of completion was offered to them after a certain amount of hours of coaching sessions. Data also suggests that one of the main reasons there's a low participation rate in the TIC training and coaching is because providers were just not aware of the TIC training and coaching opportunities. So when county markets it clearly and provides providers the information of what they're gaining from the TIC training and coaching, they found more success in the recruitment efforts. We also saw that counties who used incentives in the recruitment efforts, specifically incentives around TIC related incentives, such as providing them with materials for cozy corners or mindfulness charts. That was also useful in the recruitment efforts. And also when there's an existing infrastructure such as to train or recruit providers, that also benefited the recruitment efforts. So due to COVID-19, a lot of counties had to pivot their trainings to an online model, a virtual model. The majority of counties expressed a positive experience once they did the switch over. Most counties actually experienced a higher attendance rate in their trainings and coaching when they switched over to online models. And also providers expressed to their TIC trainers that they really enjoyed and liked the benefit of the virtual platforms because they were able to invest what was previously travel time in themselves or in their childcare. Also, counties with programs that integrated continuous feedback loops with providers and trainers we're able to better adapt to meet the needs of providers. And that helped maintain the consistent attendance and participation. And across the board, we heard from providers that self-care trainings were really valuable to them. So with this year, due to COVID-19, we did want to focus a little bit more about the changes that took place due to COVID-19. Some of the counties reported a fluctuation in the referral rate, so referrals. Most of them said that they saw a decrease in referrals at the beginning of the pandemic when everything was closed. Some counties also told us that they saw staffing changes and a staffing turnover due to COVID-19. We also specifically asked counties what changes they had to implement due to COVID-19 would like to keep. What we heard from them was some of the interactions they now have with their partner agencies. They switched over to more of a virtual platforms such as just emails, calls, Zoom meetings. What was before maybe a monthly meeting or not quarterly meetings or on a need basis. Some counties also said that they were gonna make permanent the use of digital forms or digital signatures. They simplified the process for them and also made it more convenient and the program more accessible. Also with the increase in participation from some providers in using the virtual platform, some counties are going to make that a permanent option for providers. So one of the main findings from the key informant interviews that we conducted with the staff implementing the Bridge program was that establishing relationships with their partner agencies and external agencies is one of the key elements for the successful implementation of the Bridge program. We also heard that collaboration and open communication with partners is essential for the success of the program. And we also heard that mutual understanding and clearly defined goals really benefited. Now, Dr. Suzav is going to talk about the recommendations.
Thank you, Vanessa. There's a lot more recommendations in the report that's included in your packet, but these are some of the top recommendations that we pulled from our results from talking to the state leaders, the county leaders, the parent caregivers, and the child care providers. First off is the need for increased support in funding for access and stability. Now, you heard about how we are reducing the stress for the foster parent caregivers. We pull the rug out as soon as that child gets reunified with their biological parent. That's the point in time we need to continue this program. If you hear nothing else from this presentation, hear that one piece. We pull the rug out as soon as we reunify or adopt the child. No more trauma-informed care for the provider, no more navigator to help them find childcare, no more voucher for childcare. Boom, gone. So we start with 6 months because that's what we could afford with the funding we have. And then we go to 12 months. But again, childcare needs don't end after 12 months, even for the resource parent caregiver. Or age groups expanding beyond the 0 to 5, which some counties stay at 0 to 5. Different provider types. Very few counties are offering vouchers for license exempt providers. Resource parent caregivers are like any other parent caregiver. They work non-traditional hours. Sometimes only an FFN can get that for you. In terms of sibling sets, imagine you're already traumatized, pulled from your parents. If the reason that resource parent caregiver says no is because there's 3 children, can't keep them together because you can't afford the childcare for 3 kids, we got to keep those siblings together, reduce that trauma. Out of county placements, some counties are more expensive in childcare than others. If you're in San Bernardino and that child's placed in LA County, you're going to pay higher cost for care. Try to budget for that. As kids come out, go in, it's very hard to budget for that. Given the tremendous stress reduction, not just from the voucher, but the navigator and the trauma-informed care, we need to ensure that this support for those 2 components are continued or increased, because again, they also help to reduce the stress for that child and that family. Funding administrative support to ensure that strong bond and relationship between ECE and child welfare. I can tell you, even from the pilot, sitting down and learning their language, them learning our language. They kept saying caregiver. I kept thinking they're talking about a childcare provider. Simple things like just learning each other's language. We need to ensure that we're supporting that and continuing it. Improving awareness through enhanced marketing and training. You heard Vanessa talk about the fact that people are not aware of this program. Some social workers, and I understand this, I'm not pointing fingers. If it's not an entitlement program, you worry about, I have this amount of money, I don't want people to know about it because then everybody's gonna knock on my door and get mad at me because I can't give them the program. So social workers aren't telling all of their parents about this program. They wait until they hear of a child. The resource parent caregiver has to take the initiative to ask for it. We also need to increase the marketing outreach to the child care providers because they're not jumping in as much as we would hope. And we wanted this to not be a barrier. We didn't put it in legislation saying, if you take the money, you have to have the child care provider enroll in trauma-informed care training and coaching, because some would say no. And that would mean the parent would not get the money for the child care or the navigation. So it's optional, but we have to figure out how to market it to get more providers into that trauma-informed care training and coaching to support the kids in that environment. Because it doesn't help just the kids in Bridge. It helps all of the children in their childcare environment. So it's a ripple out effect. Next slide, please. So thank you. I welcome questions. This is our amazing study team. I thank you for your funding support. We could not have done this without you. I thank the parent caregivers who gave us their time, the childcare providers, the staff who gave us their time. Earl, I want to meet you in person. You have helped us tremendously. David, thank you. Debbie, Jamie, thank you for tech. Simon, thank you for everyone back there. Thank you, everyone. It takes a village to do some research. Questions?
I'll just start with a comment and say thank you very much for this excellent work and for your very thoughtful and insightful research. It's really, really powerful. And when I came in as chair of the commission, one of the pieces that was very important to me was continuing to ground in evidence-based program and policymaking, and looking at the evidence that you have shown about the benefit of this program. I have to say it's very compelling, so I'm very grateful. Other questions or comments from commissioners?
I'll just say one quick thing, that's okay. So on my day job, we held a webinar last year called Beyond the Fussy Baby to really elevate, how early childhood mental health shows up in our babies. And one of the trainers from the Child Care Bridge program came and spoke and really just highlighted the importance of equipping all of us that work with babies, that love babies, to understand what it looks like to have mental health concerns show up, to equip the family with the tools and resources. Again, speaking to our chair's work to really recognize all of our responsibility to care for our little ones, really highlighted the importance of the program. So just seeing these numbers obviously makes that all the more clear, and just really hope we have the opportunity to continue to supporting them in all of our efforts.
So hearing no other questions or comments, Jamie, is there any public comment? Okay, thank you. In that case, Our next, I think that's all of our agendized business for this meeting. Our next commission meeting will be held very shortly after this meeting at 1:30, following a short lunch break. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Moved by Commissioner Alvarez. Is there a second? I will second it. I will second. All in favor? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. The time is 12:45.
This is the first and last time you get to use it.
I know.
So open it up.
It is. It's so good. I don't.
Just think how confusing.
I would, do you understand how much I need a gavel at my house? Oh my goodness. The problem is it would be rapidly co-opted by my children. Yes.
Ira Alvarez. Dr. Nadine Burke Harris.
Present.
Vice Chair Hazen?
Present. Jackie Majors.
Here.
Cory Riso.
Present.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. And the purpose of this meeting is for the swearing in of the new commission chair. So I'm very excited and honored to have the opportunity to swear in Giannina Perez. Ms. Perez, do you mind introducing yourself and saying a few words, and then I'll go ahead and do the oath?
Thank you, Chair. And Dr. Burke Harris, which I have to just also say Nadine, because it's just so sweet and wonderful that you're doing this. I thank you for that. And these are big shoes to fill. I've been told by many people, and I said yes. That's why I got my big high heels on today as a reminder that these are big shoes. But please know I'm humbled and honored to be filling those shoes. I'm humbled and honored to be able to be here and serve with all of you on this important commission. As someone, when I was having a meeting with someone, I said, I'm finally broken. I'm finally in the family of First Five, because I have talked so much about First Five, and I always give kudos that you were the original ones to say whole child, whole family, and whole community. And as you may know, the governor has very much implemented that platform thanks to First Five. So with great honor that I get to hopefully carry that forth and really build stronger collaborations between the administration, the legislature, the Department of Education, and all the advocates working hard for the lives of children and families. So thank you for that. Si se puede. I look forward to working with all of you.
And I think we're gonna head over here.
Oh, and I have to thank my husband for being here too. Next to you while you're sworn in. I think he wants to take a picture. We can take a picture for our kiddos. So. Take a picture of him standing next to you.
And I will say that before I was sworn into my former office in the office of the Surgeon General, when I was sworn in by Governor Newsom, he opened and he began with a few words about why he had selected me for the role. And I will say that it feels fitting that as I was thinking about stepping down from state service and stepping out of the role of First Five chair, I was speaking with senior members of the administration, thinking about who would be a great person to fill the role. And on my dream list was this woman right here. And the reason is because over the course of our time working together in state service, I have really gotten a chance to get to know you as a fierce advocate for children and really for all children, right? When we talk about California for all, the way that you have every day fought for the well-being, the future, equity, investments in our children, but done it in a really smart way. So understanding that it's one thing to have an idea and to want to move that forward and to wish well for our children, but it's something else entirely to be able to navigate with a strong skill set to be able to earn these wins for our kids. And that's the reason why when I gave my comments in the last meeting, I was joking that we're getting an upgrade in our chair. I was saying it tongue in cheek, but at the same time, I think, Giannina, your skill set, your passion, your drive, and just the strength and experience that you bring to this role, for me as a child advocate and a child champion, I feel so reassured and comforted and proud to have you coming into this role.
Thank you so much.
And so with that. I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Janina Bettis, do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign or domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Chair Bennett.
Can you get in? Yeah, someone might take it. Oh, yes, yes.
I think you should be in the middle.
Oh, here. You want to be my naming, I get it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
We can do group shots.
And now we have a video from the first partner.
Oh, we're waiting, you want to formally pass the gavel?
Yes. Okay, and with that, I pass the gavel to you, Chair Bennett.
Thank you.
Just getting queued up right now. Apparently someone needs to download it for us at the right time. So give me 1 minute.
Okay, thanks, Simon.
We can take a picture while it's waiting. I know, right? Picture now. Well, while we're waiting, I wanted to tell you how excited we are to have you as our chair, as a fiercely, as a staunch advocate for children for decades. From the moment I met you decades ago, I knew that your heart was in the community and kids, and I'm so excited about what type of good trouble we're gonna be able to get into. So thank you for your yes, and we look forward to actually having you at the helm.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, yes, so Camille wasn't here earlier with the, Dr. Burke Harris had some. So Camille Maven just walked in, former ED. During the celebration.
Yes. Hi. And Camille, you missed it, but we spoke some lovely words about you, and thank you so much for your tremendous service we're so grateful for everything that you have done on behalf of children and families in California. And we're really thrilled that you could pop in and say hi. And there's multiple passings of the baton happening here today, but you were also congratulated on setting the organization up in such a successful position and the transition to Jackie's leadership. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm sorry, I missed that. My ears were burning earlier. I guess I was it. So, you know, if I could take a minute. So I'm not sure if Shana and Jackie can hear me. Hi, guys.
Camille, why don't you join us?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Family affair.
Yeah.
Chair, right?
Right next to Commissioner Jimenez. I believe some of these commissioners you haven't met before in person.
Not in person. Yes. Anyway, so, well, I am sorry I missed that. I didn't know. I would have been here earlier. So, anyway, first of all, congratulations. Giannina, what an amazing time you will have, and I know what you will bring to the commission will really keep moving us forward, and I look forward to watching all that you and Jackie will and the crew will do together. So congratulations on that. Dr. Burke-Harris, I can't thank you enough for all you've done for us as chair, and really helping us to expand and move our needle forward. You know, it's been an incredible honor to work with you, and just what a way to go out. So thank you. So and you are the surprise. I didn't know. So congratulations, Chris. Thank you again. Thanks for helping us with not only the history and helping us to understand, you know, but helping us to move forward as well. So we wish you the very best.
Same to you.
You know,
phenomenal job.
Well, thank you. So, but so yeah, so good luck. I hope you two are here. Good luck. And anyway, most of all, thanks to Jackie for a year as just about a year, almost a year as a chief deputy, and really taking on so many of the initiatives and so many of the things, and bringing your wealth of knowledge. You're going to have a great run.
We'll have some fun.
You will have some fun, and you know, I don't know anyone who works harder or has more irons in the fire, but she manages to do all of that. So, and at the same time, has a passion for children and families, right at the heart of it. So, and to these guys, to the team here, you know, I can't, and Sarah, welcome. So long, David. You know, I know all, I know we had the pleasure and honor of working with great people, and that makes all the difference in the world and the work we do. So just happy to leave them in capable hands, and excited and to watch what's going to happen next. So thank you so much, and I'm so sorry.
Chair Perez, it's your call to cue up the video whenever you're ready. Yes.
Simon, would you please play the video for the first part?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. What a wonderful day for California's children and families. Giannina, congratulations. Wow, the past few years have been traumatic for all of us, especially our children. And in this moment, I can't think of a person more qualified and more ready to meet the moment and help our youngest children heal and recover, giving families the tools they need to ensure that their children get the best start in life. So thank you to the entire First Five team for your continued collaboration with my office, particularly in promoting the importance of early childhood literacy. I look forward to strengthening our partnership as we work together for all of California's children, with Giannina in the helm in the chair position. Once again, congratulations.
Nice.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, First Partner. So now we'll turn to the public comment section, and hello and acknowledging chair, I'm the chair. Acknowledging Commissioner Alvarez. Members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on any non-agenda items and not related to pending judicial, administrative litigation or personnel matters. No action by the State Commission may be taken on this public comment. If you are attending virtually and wish to comment, use the raise hand function, please, or the chat function if that's not available. If you are here today in person and wish to comment, please sign the public comment sheet. Jamie will call on the public in the order in which they've signed up, starting with people in the room and then calling on people in the virtual queue.
So we'll start with anybody in the room who would like to comment on the swearing in.
Sarah Neville Morgan.
Virtually.
Anybody in the room? Not even spouse? Okay. So, no pressure. Okay, so we'll move to nobody in LA, I'm assuming. And then virtual queue.
Sarah, you have the floor.
Thank you all. This is Sarah Neville Morgan. Sorry, I didn't know you could have my camera on. And I'm a Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction with the California Department of Education. Just want to echo our acknowledgement of Giannina in this space, and so Commissioner Chair Perez and the outgoing Commission Chair as well. We are really excited about the partnership with First Five that has always continued, and really looking to strengthen and deepen this with Commissioner Perez in her place, especially as we look at alignment with the administration and how we can work together to implement components of the master plan for early learning and care. So Commissioner Perry was a huge part of that as well, and just want to acknowledge, I think, a year of our life spent together on that master plan and these opportunities to really align and strengthen and use Quality Counts California in support of a lot of what the master plan lays out. So in particular, as CDE launches on implementation of universal pre-kindergarten, something that First Five has been involved in since 2003, with a huge agenda item in influx of funds back in 2005, really looking at ways we can partner together to ensure that quality is there, quality is equity. And as we look at that UPK efforts and what happens in state preschool, and as it expands to have automatic eligibility, most hopefully, if that goes through in the budget for all of our children with disabilities, how much that stands up and lifts forward a part of equity that must happen. And then as we look at TK and transitional kindergarten and how that will serve all 4-year-old children who are interested in attending by 2025-26, that actually was part of the First Five California vision back in 2003 and 2005. We're now finally here, and CDE looks to First Five for a strong partner in ensuring alignment across state preschool, Head Start, and TK, and how quality will lift up and include all of those voices as we address equity and inclusion and other components. So thank you so much. Really excited about this partnership and look forward to working together to make all of that happen.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good night, Chair Perez. Can I make one comment before we?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. It's so funny. I knew this was going to happen, and I still didn't prepare anything to say at all. But now, as we're wrapping up and about to adjourn, I just feel compelled to share a few things, which is that as I want to start by just looking around and thanking my fellow commissioners. If there's anything, I just have learned so much from you guys. And that has been just such a gift, and I'm just really grateful to and I'm also looking at our commissioners who are in LA. I just want to thank all of you. It's been wonderful to work in partnership with you, and it truly has been extraordinarily enriching for me. And as I look around and look at all of the commissioners and all of the staff, I just want to say that this work is so important, and it feels now more than ever, especially in light of this huge global trauma that we've all been going through and are still going through, and just thinking about this generation of little ones and how important it is, what we do, what we put into place, how we do the work that we do, and how we show up, and what we hold at the center of the work. And as I take a step back, I just feel really proud and grateful to all of you for continuing to do this work with the passion and the vision and the rigor and the center on equity and well-being for all of our children and families. And so I say that as an immigrant, as a mother, as a physician, as a scientist, as a policymaker. I'm deeply grateful to you for your service, and thank you for continuing this excellent work. It's been a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful words. I was gonna add a few other adjectives, but chingona being one. So with that, I will announce the following statement, that the next commission meeting, which is the budget retreat, is scheduled for May 31, 2022. I hope all can attend, because budget is where it's at, right? That's where the money is. So that's where we want to make sure we're doing right. And now I will call for a motion. I move to adjourn the commission meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second. All right. Commissioner Jimenez, we have a second from Commissioner Jimenez. Call for the vote. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. Do I have to call for the next?
The meeting is adjourned.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. And now pictures.
Now pictures. Our commissioners in LA, you can stay in the, hello, don't leave here. We're gonna take a picture with you on the big screen. They don't even hear us.
We can wrap around them.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So we're gonna wrap around you. We're gonna wrap around. We're gonna take a picture with you on the big screen. Do really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
We're taking a picture with you.
Buddy, right, like.
Chair Pettis? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Right,
Maybe we'll just. That's great. That's really nice.
That's awesome.
That's
look there in the picture.
Perfect.
Like somebody's behind me, like.
Oh, we don't have.
Little Photoshop.
We'll Photoshop her in that.
Photoshop her in.
Yeah, she was. Okay.
Stop.
Are you on to the next one? She can't be out of it.
Yeah. Mostly just. She can be in everybody.
It's over my head.
First picture together.
We do have some dessert if you all want it from Estelle.
Dessert's always.
Oh, yeah, that one. So we welcome everybody to a dessert reception.
Oh,